Hello and welcome to the 101 show with Mike and Tess. Mike, hello.
Hello, we're back. Come on.
Back for a special edition of Euros. This is our show this week. All the group stages, chat that you need. Fortunate to be with Scored live on their platform. If you're watching from Scored, hello. If you're watching from YouTube, hello as well. If you're tuning in now, fantastic. It is 3:00. And if you're catching up, hello to you as well. Mike, how have you been?
Missing you, missing this. This is incredible to be back. No, all good. Really buzzing for the Euros. To have tournament hockey again, it's just something which I've, as a fan, I've missed, because I think you can watch all the Pro League you want and everything else, but actually to be back in tournament mode is just something really special. And I think seeing how teams progress, the upsets, the surprises, just cannot wait to get into it. And how have you been?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. It's been an interesting 6 weeks for me, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Surgery, rehab, but every day is a little bit.
Those don't
closer.
know, why are you here and why are you not out in Holland at the moment?
Unfortunately, so I ruptured my ACL 7 weeks ago. Was fortunate to have surgery straight off the back because my knee was ready for surgery after a week. So I had that just the back end of April, and I've had pain and morphine and everything for the first few weeks, and then now finally I'm feeling more like a human, but it definitely hasn't sunk in. So that's why, unfortunately, why I'm not at the Euros and will be out for a good 10 months more at least. So yeah, that's why I'm not there, but it does mean that I can talk hockey, and that is exactly what I'm doing now with you.
You're going to be with us. How?
Exactly.
I mean, obviously gutted for you that you're not out there, but yeah, I mean, I'll take second place, and super glad to have you back on the show. Like, yeah, reunite. Well, 2 out of the 3.
Gibbo will be joining us.
We're an amigo light.
Yeah, well, I thought, it was probably a few weeks ago that we sort of discussed the idea of doing a Euros show, and we thought, why would we do a Euros show? It's because there's just not enough chat around hockey, and we all love talking about hockey. So what you're going to hear today is literally probably what all of you are chatting behind the scenes, but an open conversation. We want to dive into team and player analysis, match analysis throughout the week, talk about who's going to play. So we're just sort of opening up the conversation. Yeah,
definitely. And I think, as this is a live show and we've got a few guys tuned in already, any thoughts on teams, who you think's going to win, who's going to get relegated out of it, definitely join the conversation and get involved, because actually the thing I've missed certainly from doing these shows is the interaction. So definitely anybody who's there, say hello, we'll get you involved. And yeah. This is I'll let you bring that up, Tess.
So according to eyewitnesses, spies, Mike's been busy on the field playing hockey himself. Has he, Mike?
I have came out of retirement, have played 1 game recently from scored from fullback. Not that I like to talk about it, but it's one of those things. Retraining myself as a fullback and loving life. So yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll make a few more appearances next year.
Question from Ian as well. How tough was it being at Lee Valley watching the squads play at last Pro League games? It's a kind question. Yeah, it has been tough. I mean, fortunately, I'm with a few of the other of my teammates who are in similar positions, with like Hannah Martin, Emily Defrond. So it's really kind of being with them that makes a difference. So it's hard, but it's good to watch goals, and I love watching hockey. Obviously, I want to be on the pitch, but it's nice to watch with teammates. Question from David Rainford. Do we know which reserve is coming into the England's 18 for McCallan? So we don't know who the official squad is yet, but we do know that Sophie Hamilton was brought in alongside Alex Mauser and Catherine Ledesma. So it could be any of those three who could go into that squad. Shona, unfortunately, got hit on the foot in the last game of the Pro League. And so saw her this morning in rehab on the occlusion cuff. So she's doing well. Hopefully, all things progressing towards the Olympics.
Can we, whilst we're on the women's squad, I know we're going to talk about the women's squad later. I just want to give a bit of a shout to Erica Saunders, who 101 family member, Team Ritual, smashed the season out in Holland, and out of the blue has been given a call back into the senior side. I think that is what a story. And I think that's a really exciting one to kind of start on. Tess, obviously you've probably known Eri for a little while now. So what are your thoughts of her coming back into the side?
Oh, I think it's fantastic for Eri. What an opportunity. And, she's been playing so well out in Holland. I think playing with her at junior levels, and then in my first year and a half in the program, we were teammates, still are teammates. So I'm sure she will come back in the program. I just think it's great. As this kind of coach that Mark Hagar is, he'll see talent and he needs goal scorers. Unfortunately, Han and I can't be out there. We would be playing in the forward line, so it's just it's an opportunity, and I think Eri's going to do a fantastic job. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think she's going to be absolutely class. Just can't. When I saw that, it just came for me. When I was, as we all, when the list came out, we're having a look, and I was like, oh my god, Eri's in. And for somebody who's, obviously I've not known Eri as long as you, but she's coached on 101. She's a part of the 101 family. To see her in the squad, I was like, yes, that's quality.
Yeah,
really pleased.
I think Erica Saunders, because she's got all of the assets as a hockey player. Reverse for as a forward, you give her the ball in the D, she's probably going to score. Some of the goals that she was scoring out in Holland were just phenomenal. And little lifts, her ridiculous. 3D in the D is great, winning fouls, things like that. And I think, as we'll talk about the England women's team in more detail, but their corners are going to be, I think that's going to be the ticket for them winning games. So if the forwards can win opportunities like corners, then that's going to be make or break, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Right, should we talk Fantasy League?
Yes.
Because one of the things that I loved from 2019 with what Scored were doing was the Fantasy League, and it's definitely something that I got really competitive over in our household. It was definitely, unfortunately, I didn't win in our household. I'm going to put that on record. My better half definitely beat me.
I know, Mike. Here's your fantasy All-Stars. 101 All-Stars, that's Mike. Tesla HC, that's me. Let's talk about your goalie, first of all, Mike.
I mean, Vince Van Asch, for me, still the best goalkeeper in the world. He didn't have a particularly good last Pro League game, but I just think he is just a different level. And I think from a tactical point of view, picking my Fantasy League team, I think he's obviously going to play in a lot of games throughout the tournament. And I can't see Belgium leaking that many goals. So, yeah, definitely there. I see we've both gone for Ollie, but obviously different situations. You've got him starting. Talk me through it.
Well, he's a fellow Durhamer, so I have to.
Okay.
So I had to pick him in goal. For me, he's had such a rise. So I think he'll do really well this tournament. That's kind of how I went. It's actually really hard because you get given 100 mil and you can't spend it all on what you think are the top players. You have to really dig deeper into your hockey knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. And it's being cute about, okay, well, if they're playing a game which you think that they may not win, it's actually then picking the least costly position that's going to, cost you points and everything else. So it gets pretty exciting. So who have you made your captain?
My captain is Chris Griffiths. He's been on such form for GB in the last 4 Pro League games. For me, I think he's one to watch for this whole summer, really. He also did his ACL. He did his 3 months before the Rio Olympics, so he's been there for me the last few months. But I mean that's not why I picked him as captain, because I think he's a phenomenal goal scorer. But it's quite a nice little insight as well. I think he's going to score goals, and you have to read the rules. This is the thing with squad; you have to read the rules and see who's going to win points. So I think he's going to score me some goals. Who's your captain?
Van Ash. I think a bit of goalie love in there. Bit of goalie loving, keeping him in there.
Your forward line.
Yeah, I think gone fairly England heavy. I think
Wardy.
Zach is going to do well. I think Wardy is going to be coming into form. I think obviously he's not been back in senior international hockey that long after coming back from his eye injury. So actually, I think a few pro leagues he's getting better and better. I think he's causing a lot of mischief inside the circle, as we know and love about Wardy and his style of play. But I think this tournament, it's all gonna click, come together, and he's gonna score a ton of goals. So that's my prediction. And Brinkman is just an animal in the circle, little pocket rocket. I just give him the ball in the circle and it's going in. So he's going to be definitely one to watch.
Definitely. All right, let's talk women's fantasy. Let's talk about you've made Kaya Van Marsac your captain.
Yeah, so I decided to go for Van Marsac as captain. I think again he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's going to be pretty consistent. Again, kind of hedging my bets, leaning towards Holland going pretty far in the tournament, and also probably going to score a few goals as well as a corner threat. Although I think she's flicked a little bit, Matla's been flicking a little bit more. So I'm hopefully between those two that I've selected there, it's going to be a few goals kicking around. That's why I went for Giselle, fellow teammate. Again, not reason why I chose her as captain, but definitely helps in next year, surely. No, she's gonna score a lot of drag flick goals. I believe I think she'll do, and that's why I made a captain for the rules. I've also gone for Kaya as well in the back line as well. I just think defenders scoring goals, you get a lot of points, so that's what I went for. Interesting midfield line. Yeah. No, I just feel like Germany women are really picking up a run of form at the moment. So I was actually trying to think, okay, who's going to be a little bit more consistent in my midfield? How are they going to go? And actually those like Hauke and stuff have just been playing really well. So I was like, yeah, can't not go there. I ran out of money, so I couldn't have Gigi Olivia. Otherwise, she would have been in there straight off the bat. I ran out of money before I could select her.
That's how I felt about Ava de Good.
Yeah.
So I had to choose. I went for Ketos because she scored in the last Pro League game. So I thought, you know what, she scored a shot, that would be nice. And I went for Hines, which was an interesting choice because she's cheap. But I don't know if anybody watched the last Pro League games, but when I was watching her against GB, Germany against GB a few weeks ago, and she was actually lighting up the pitch. I think she's a great player.
Yeah, she's going to be really, really, really good. Can you bring it back up? Because I can't remember your forward line.
Oh.
There's Stappenhorst, bit of a staple. Stappenhorst is definitely going to poach a few. Robbo.
Robertson, her form at the moment is class on the pitch.
Really good.
Yeah, and I think I would put Lily in the starting lineup, but she needs to earn her spot. So I'll watch back the Spanish practice game and see how she's doing. No, I'm joking. She will be there.
Bit of inside knowledge. And I've gone for Balinier. The young Belgian striker. I think she is going to do absolute bits. I think she is.
That reverse goal that she scored against New Zealand, I want to say?
USA?
USA, which the tight angle. Yeah, actually, I think it won goal of the year or was close to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was probably good. She's a class act. Like, just seeing her go from strength to strength. I think her first caps was she was like 17, 18, something like that, and she's just going from strength to strength. So, yeah, I think she's one sort of future World Player of the Year. I'm calling it.
Oh, like
I'm
it.
there.
So this tournament, this Euros tournament, is going to look a little different this year because of the old Corona. What do you think it's going to be like for the fans, first of all, Mike? Because they have to do. I saw they have to do a test 40 hours before. I have to get a negative test for 40 hours before they even enter the stadium.
I think the fact that there are going to be fans at all, even though it may not be like full capacity, is going to be amazing. Just to have people back watching hockey is going to be incredible. So yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit different for them, but I think they'll make a lot of noise. So any kind of Dutch Belgians that are going to go along, the noise is going to go through the roof, even if there's not that many of them. So right, we've got a couple of retrobates waiting in the wings.
Right, hello to Gibbo and hello to Brett.
Hi team.
Hello.
This is Mike and I are in the studio and we're going to our men on the ground. Where are you?
The ground bin a Costa Coffee on the A15 Derby.
The hub, as some may call it. Epicenter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of feedback.
We're on the same table. We probably need to move.
We can't hear you guys properly because you're getting echo from each other. So I don't know if you want to be on the same.
Maybe jump around the corner, Gibbo.
I'm going to jump around the corner. Give me 30
Great.
seconds. Stop cam.
Hi, Brett.
There we go. Hope you can see and hear me okay.
Perfect. So, Brett, who's going to win? Men's and women's. Who's going to win the Euros? We're going to go straight in there.
England. And if not England, I think Holland have got a very good shout, haven't they? For
men or women or both?
Oh, sorry, I was going straight to the women. I thought that was the question. Do you know what? I would have Belgium as the men. However, watching the last Pro League game, the Dutch were very good, and they probably weren't at the level that we expect them to have been. There you go. We're back with each other.
That's good. Yeah, I would agree, actually. Although, I just think the way that the Belgian men play, it's almost, they've got a script. I actually, last Euros, was in the lift with a few of them, and they all had like identical notebooks, and they had all of their drawings on. And honestly, just seeing that, it made me realize like how serious they are about the game plan. I think the way that they play is just like so clinical.
So they've been together for a very long period of time as well. They were in the under-18s, under-21s together, or the majority of them were as well. So they do know each other inside out, so they can get to that level, I think, because they're so clear on what each other is. Or what each other are, sorry, should I say.
So then, Gibbo, who's going to win? Men, women?
I think very hard to look past the Dutch on the women. Been the form book since the disappointment in Rio. Well, it's not disappointment for us, but their disappointment in Rio has been very good. You probably think they've improved since then, and the generation that's coming through have had hundreds more caps, so they look very strong. Equally,
and a few youngsters in there as well, Gibbo, which I think is quite exciting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, but the leaders that have emerged are very strong players now. And equally as boring, you probably think Belgian men are quite hard to beat for the same reason, but I'm a little bit with Brett. I thought the Dutch men were quite impressive. And actually, I'd be quietly encouraged by, although it was GB against Germany, I'd be quietly encouraged with that from an English perspective as well.
I'd agree that I think the England men are
the
looking very
Germans.
strong. No, exactly.
Was
What
that
about you,
How
Mike?
about you, Tess?
Oh, me? Okay, well, I think in the women's game, it's all up for grabs. Like, I know we said the Dutch, but let's just look at their last last tournament and they drew in their first 2 games. I think Spain are really ones to watch. Just looking through all of their social media and everything, if Gigi's on form, you've got Barrios as well, Bonastra. I think they are very strong. But also, yeah, Gigi, exactly. I think England are looking pretty strong as well. I honestly think our corner routines could be one of the best in the tournament. With Katie Glynn coming in she kind of taken over taken on, I guess, the corner routines. And with Giselle, see Grace's flick last time, top right. Giselle bottom right, Toman on the slap. You've got a lot of options there. So I'd throw them in as well.
Nice. And then who are your players to watch then? We've gone through our fantasy league, and I think I've picked well, but I think Tess might have the edge on it on the women's side. But who are your players to watch, boys? Oh, Brett's gone. Oh, he's back.
I'm going to beat Brett 2-1.
Can you hear me? I think my internet has dropped out.
Yeah, I'm going to beat Brett to a suggestion here, but I'm looking forward to seeing Charlotte Watson fully fit and playing.
Scotland. Big up the Scots.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte made it into my fantasy team in the front line. I'm just excited to see her go for Scotland. She's obviously had a year of doing a lot of stuff behind closed doors and didn't manage to play a game in the league this year, which is, well, there wasn't that many to be fair, but yeah, just really looking forward to see her play for Scotland. And a record for Scotland is very, very good, isn't it? So yeah, can't wait for that.
Well, yeah, let's actually touch upon Scotland, because we can just talk about them for a sec. They obviously they're the newest up, along with Italy in the league. They won last year. What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. They're going to be. I think in some ways, you'd think, oh, okay, well, they've only just come up. They're probably going to be potentially the ones to go back down. But actually, there's some really good players in there with a lot of experience. I think having Gibbo in goal, potentially one of the best keepers in the world. Like, she's unbelievable. She's had a great season and in Germany with Under Alster. She's just a class act. So they're not going to leak anything that they shouldn't. And I think in tournament hockey, if you can cut leaking goals, which you shouldn't, you're automatically then going to be a step further ahead. And they've got goals in that side. They really have with Shaz, Robbo, those guys. And then I'd also say, having Costello and she's playing really well at the moment. I think she's hitting her form. So
I see Brett nodding there. Other than nodding at the fact that Loughborough University is on there, I don't know how you've managed to do that. She started at Dundee and she's moved to Loughborough for her last year. What do you think about this Scottish lineup?
She split her degree. She's got 2 years at Loughborough. Yeah, it's exciting actually. A bit of a dark horse, really. Probably not been spoken of a great deal up to this point, I would say. But I echo Mike's thoughts. They've got strength all the way through the team. I don't know if you mentioned Laura Swanson there as well, but she's an exciting player too, who can make things happen and link to the front guys who I'm sure can bag a hell of a lot of goals.
Yeah, definitely. And Gibber, you've probably watched Sarah Robertson play or both of you actually watched Sarah Robertson play for Hampstead, and she'll be probably playing the midfield for Scotland. She plays as forward for GB, but what do you think?
I mean, I thought she played well against us, carried a threat early in the game, particularly when we played Hampstead, and actually really noticed her in the last few rounds of GB games as a forward. It's interesting you said she's going to be playing in the midfield line. That's cool though. Is that where she'd normally play for Scotland? Is that a new thing? Is that? Yeah,
I spoke to some of the Scottish girls, and also you can follow their Instagram, Scott Hockey Women. They've got some great graphics out there, and they released their forwards, and she's not in their forward line. She's been playing there.
A player that for Scotland that I've never seen particularly have a bad game.
Probably playing midfield, yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen Robin Collins have a particularly bad game either for Servant. She's always been very strong in the back line there, flying under the radar. So they've got some good players for sure. But it'd be interesting.
She's in my fantasy league.
Yeah, she got criminally undervalued, I thought. So she's in mine as well. Yeah. Never really seen her have put in a bad game for Serpent. She's always been really strong. So I think, like Mike says, it'd be interesting to see how they stand up in this division. It'd be a good test. But like Ireland made it happen, have done so well in their period in this A division since. So it'd be nice to get a similar success story.
Definitely. You can see they're in Pool A. These are their matches, kicking us off tomorrow against Spain. And yeah, I mean, they'll be playing Holland and Ireland as well. What do you think, Brett?
He's a man in thought.
I can't wait for the Ireland-Scotland game. That one gets me excited.
It's going to be tasty.
11:30 on a Monday. Anybody going to be able to get out of work for that one?
Shaky. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you. No? Okay. That Pool A, I think it's not a closed shot by any means who's going to kind of finish top half of that. Anything could go on there, really. You'd expect Holland to top the group, but then I think between Spain, Ireland, and Scotland, it's close.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Ireland have been putting out a lot of press about the fact that they, obviously runners up at the World Cup. The first game back is where they're going to play Holland. So it's, and they're calling it the redoing of the World Cup final. Hopefully it'll go a little bit better for them. But
that wasn't their best game. I think Holland.
Although having a silver medal at the end of it probably helped.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
What are you thinking about that pool, Gibbo?
That the Dutch will win it. I've not been too inventive there. I'd love Ireland or Scotland to get ahead of Spain, but I'm quite excited by this generation of Spanish players as well. What I think is interesting is if the Ireland Scotland game, they could ruin it for each other by it being a very close game and drawing.
Yeah, they could do that.
They could ruin it for each other.
Shoot each other in the foot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I don't know how that game will be played, but yeah, I think that'd be an interesting game. Did you go out over to Ireland and play Tess 6-8 weeks ago when you were there?
Well, unfortunately, I had a groin injury, so I wasn't playing. But I did go out and watch. No, it's okay. It's all good. Things are in perspective.
Did they have a player, quite an influential player, pick up an injury? Then are they fit? Are they fit now?
Yes, So Duke was out. Yeah.
Was it Zoe Wilson that was injured?
Oh, yeah.
Might be wrong.
Well, I know Duke definitely wasn't playing then, but she was their top goal scorer at the World Cup. So she's great. You can tell she always wears double gloves. So she's back in the squad. So that's good for them.
Double glove, yes or no? And that's kind of going out to the world there.
That's a Twitter poll.
That is a Twitter poll. Double glove, yes or no? And I think if you see a double glover as a coach, you sometimes lean towards them not being the greatest player.
Wrongly, a lot of the time. It's a very wrong negative bias, isn't it? But yeah, you can. You assume they're just going to be spending the game on the floor, don't you? But
I've known a lot of very talented double glover players.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, given that we have two of the women's head coach, the head coach and the assistant coach of the Loughborough women's team, shall we move? We'll just move to talk about the England women's whilst we have you guys.
Perfect.
And you've got two of your very own.
Well, three really.
Three. Oh,
four if you've been really greedy.
Do you know?
Four actually, yeah.
If you've been really greedy, Ellie's still doing PhD, isn't she? So she doesn't play, but been really greedy.
Of course.
And
so
then,
for those who don't know, let's just explain.
Go on, Brett.
Just want to check you guys can hear me again now, because I know my internet's not been the greatest.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
Just want you to talk us through the Loughboroughs in this team.
The Loughboroughs, I like that term. I guess firstly, so excited. I just can't wait to watch them play. Both Lizzie and Izzy's going to be their first international tournaments, and for Catherine Ledesma, I'm going to call her Les. Yeah, definitely should call her Catherine Ledesma. Her first senior call up, and it's awesome. It's so awesome. What an opportunity! What an experience they're going to have. Speaking to Lizzie yesterday, just thinking back to when she first arrived at Loughborough, if she was given a European Championship back then, day one, she would have snapped my hand off for that opportunity. And out in Holland, some would say, not the home of hockey, but definitely a hockey hotbed. To be playing there in light of everything that's going on in the world, what a great place to be. So yeah, just really excited more than anything else, to be honest. I can't wait to watch them.
What about you, Gibbo? Who are you really excited to watch from this team?
So I haven't seen Erica in the play for a while, and I think she offers something in the circles. I remember her as a kid at Repton, actually just been so good in front of goal, scoring bags of goals at an indoor and outdoor nationals one season, thinking, yeah, she's really composed. So hopefully she gets opportunities to score. Always exciting watching Lily play. Still think obviously she's one of the best players in the world and a difference maker in that team. I'm a little bit like you, Tess, excited for the corner options because Grace's flicking's looking pretty strong. Still got Giselle and people that can deliver. So yeah, definitely excited about the corners and encouraging to hear that's an area that you think strong as well. But obviously biased. Want to hear about Les's experience first time in a major tournament with the seniors, and want to see how Izzy and Lizzie go as well. But yeah, just excited for those three in particular.
Yes, this England team, a little bit different from this team that played in the Euros 2019. A lot different, actually. But, you've probably still got the core players that you probably would want from the England team. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on my thoughts on Erica earlier in the show. I think she's going to be, I love the fact that she's back in the side. I think for me, it's been really good to see. I think people kind of overlook Maddie sometimes. I guess it's almost the assumption, okay, well, she's still one of the best goalies in the world, if not the best. But I think actually the thing I've liked seeing her in the last few Pro League games is she seems to be playing with a bit more confidence. And it seems that way. I think she just seems to be making like some really good, not just technical saves, but really confident saves. And I think, she's said about in her social media stuff, actually, the pressure that being the best goalie in the world can put on you. Not that I've ever known that feeling, but I like the fact that, I think looking at her, she looks confident, she looks sharp. She's, thinking back to when they played the USA, okay, she didn't have a lot to do, but when she had to do it, she did what she needed to do really, really well. And I think particularly playing as a goalie, playing a game where it is very one-sided, to make those sorts of saves, I was like, yeah, you're looking good. So I think she's going to be, hitting a bit of form. That bright pink goalie kit, I think we have to mention that. It looks phenomenal.
On goalies, what do you think the trend will be, Mike? I'm putting you on the spot as the goalie expert, but will teams split minutes with their keepers, or do you think most squads are going to go with the number one who plays everything? What do you think? Will there be a trend, or will it just be?
I think it'll be.
I was thinking with prep for the Olympics, maybe because you can only play with one keeper. Teams will name a number one and play them right through.
Yeah, I think for the teams going to the games, that'll be the case. I think they'll play. Because obviously nothing's been released yet, so none of us know who's been picked or what's going on. So I think seeing who's getting a lot of minutes, particularly from the teams going, I think it's going to be quite telling because you wouldn't not play them.
Yeah.
So you can have a look and be like, okay, well, if whoever's getting a lot of minutes, then you'd assume that they're going to be the one that's picked. Like I say, I'm just a layman these days. I know nothing. So actually, I'm interested to see who plays just from that perspective. I think for the nations where, so I'm thinking maybe not France, their men's keeper is actually pretty decent, but actually for some of the nations where it's quite close and they're not going to the games, they may split the minutes. But I'd say any Olympic side, you're going to want your teams playing as close to as possible to replicate that. So I reckon, yeah, Olympic teams, one goalie.
And with the Euros being so in the same summer as an Olympics, what do you think the trend will be with like short corners and maybe some tactical bits? Will teams keep a bit back, or will they show their hand trying to win this?
I think that they will try and win it, because ultimately World Cup qualification is up for grabs. And so for the women's side, you need to be in the top 5, because both Spain and Netherlands have automatically qualified. So that puts on quite a bit of pressure, particularly to get into the semi-finals. I mean, you always want to get in semis, because then you're playing for a medal either way. But then also on the flip of that, the groups, the playoffs is going to be seriously tight, because you are playing for that spot. So no matter where Spain or Holland finish, you're going to be playing for World Cup qualification. And Ireland particularly, they're going to want to get through automatically from the Euros, as opposed to doing the qualification tournament, which would be in October time. And teams don't want to do that. That's after the Olympics. So I think teams are going to want to win.
Yeah, I would say that they'll show enough to make sure that people are like having to second guess, but they won't show everything. So I think there'll be a lot of straight strikes at corners. There'll be a few variations just to keep people guessing, but not show the full hand. I think I'm interested to see what Belgian men do, because I think they kind of set the world. They kind of brought zone to the world in them and Argentina during Rio. And I think they were the first squads really doing it to that level of intensity. So will Belgium start now to bring something else new, like revamp something else, or bring a little bit more life to a different defensive tactic? I think they're going to have to show a little bit of it now to see if it works in tournament. But yeah, I think we'll wait and see, really. So yeah.
Give it your
Prattling away on mute again. I do that weekly. Brett will tell you on Teams and Zoom. So I think GB might be the worst team to look at this for, because they go from being England to then GB, and that can change little things around how you play and corners and stuff like that, I guess, with personnel. But it'd be interesting, say, if you took the Belgian men as a case study and looked at them in the Euros in June and the Olympics in July, and actually, were they different? Were they playing differently? Had they held things back? What did they do? Because I think that's always intrigues me when you've got two tournaments like this. That do you go all out to win them both, or do you have one eye on the Olympics? And I think it is interesting, because backing it up would be really, really hard, I think, unless you're good enough to win with a little bit up your sleeve, which the Belgian men, for instance, might be.
The other challenge, I think, is the analytics that might need to go in between it as well. So if I show a couple of my cards, I'm also relying on other teams having the time to watch what I've done in prep for the games going into the Olympics. So a lot of that prep would have been done already, and Tess, you might be able to open our eyes to the prep that goes in behind, but you've probably got a fair idea of the teams you're playing against come the Olympics, and actually what the game plan might be for those games. Will you be able to change it much from a Euros into the Olympics, do you think?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because obviously the teams were announced last year. So we've had basically 12 months to prepare who exactly we're playing for. So, and the game plans around that. And we've done a lot of analysis, fortunate with our video analysis, Amber. And I agree. I think teams have got to focus on themselves at the Euros here, rather than what others are going to do. Because I think if your corner routine, for example, is good enough, it's going to score every time.
What's this? It's just come through. Sounds like. Do you want to bring? Sorry, we've just cut away. Thank you, Paul, for sending that through. Do you want to chuck this up? So this is the starting lineup against Wales. they're not mucking around.
No, I thought their selection was funny. Like, there's no Grambush brothers in there, is there? Are they fit?
No.
They've been rested.
Same
Is
for the
there?
Olympics.
Yeah. I mean, they've been. I don't think you're exaggerating when you say Max Grambush has been a world-leading player for the last few years. But they must have some unbelievable players in Germany.
Well, when your front line is still Ruhr, Fuchs, and Stave, you're like, that's the front three.
Yeah, you'll survive. But Wales' circle defence is very good. Always has been. It might need to be.
Yeah. James Fortnum's, I think, hit a run of form, having seen him play recently in some EDP stuff. I think he's looked really good.
Yeah.
I think having Furlong, I think, is a world underrated player. Class act, and will definitely bag goals. I think you give him a bit of, I don't care who you are. Obviously, having played out in Holland for a little while, they'll kind of know him. But I think he'll still be, a huge threat. I think having who was I going to say? Yeah, I mean Drapes is there. Yeah, like when you got Chippo, Drapes, Furlong, like those three are class players, and I think that that's going to help. They've got a couple of young guys in there. Obviously, Fred Newbold.
Reece Bradshaw's a good player.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
Brad is a good player. Exit uni.
Yeah. It's his
This will be
first
his
tournament,
first
isn't it?
big tournament, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It will have been because he was an under-18 Nags player in 2018. So yeah, I think it probably is.
I think Shipley as well. Well, I think you touched on him briefly, but he's in my fantasy league definitely, and he's the kind of player because he's on such form for GB at the moment. Almost their whole attack is going through him, especially against Spain last weekend, scoring that one right in the dying seconds. I mean, that was pretty special. What a pass in!
That was ridiculous.
I was taking note. Huh?
If you think he looks quick on the telly, he's quicker. He is seriously, guys. He is very, very quick.
Yeah, and he's been playing sort of a drop centre forward in there for GB, and I imagine that's where he will play for Wales. Because I spoke to him after the game, and he was just saying that he likes to come back, post up for the ball, and then turn. Be able to, if he can turn on the move, he's got a bit of space in that midfield pocket. Then he can almost create the 2v1s towards goal. And if you've got Wardy, I mean, this is just in the GB team, but then, he can create great attacks with the people he's got. So it's like almost he's coming into his own, taking more ownership. And I imagine that's what it does for Wales. Is that right? Yeah,
I'd imagine so. I know a lot of the GB stuff, he got on the ball a lot, but I'd say he'd be on the ball a lot for Wales. He'd be a high-minute player, and he'd be on the ball a lot across the high midfield line. I'd imagine... I'd be interested to see where Bradders plays because he could probably play forward or high mid. Luke Hawke is centre forward, you'd imagine. Owen could be a forward. You've got James Carson's a good player. He can score goals.
Yeah, Johan Wall did really well with the EDP stuff. So I think having somebody of that kind of stature in your back line, I think is going to be really good. Dale Francis, 101 coach in the midfield there, so hopefully he'll start to light it up a little bit over the tournament. So,
and Danny's first major tournament as head coach, which would be, I'm sure he's excited about, and I can't wait to see how he goes. I was going to say friend of the podcast, but it's hard when it was on mine and Brett's podcast, we've not had him on 101 yet.
We'll get him on.
Get him lined up, Mike. Definitely.
We can do that.
Get him live as well. Good plug. We'll link in show notes. Try and get him live from Holland if he gets a spare 20 minutes. He probably won't because I know what tournaments are like, but that'd be cool. He probably have a spare 2 minutes, but yeah.
Just on the rankings for the men's side, before we touch on England, just around Wales. So they're ranked 18th, which is impressive given. I mean, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously doesn't. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, this is from the FIH.
Yeah, I think it's the highest they've been for sure, because they've got a good group and they've really started to turn the corner in terms of what they're doing in Hockey Wales at the moment, and seeing that kind of from the inside, like how much they're doing, like it's amazing. And they're the only side there that are not fully funded, that are they have to fund themselves.
Really?
I guess with Russia.
Yeah. Don't know what France.
So yeah, I know France have been putting a bit of dollar into their hockey recently. So yeah, I think they're the only ones where it is fully amateur. So the players have to pay their way to be at tournaments and for trainings and things like that. So it means a lot to them to be at these kind of major tournaments and to stay in A division after 2019, when I think a lot of people have written them off and thinking Scotland and Ireland were going to be above them, and and actually both of them got relegated out. And I think they're showing that you come up against the wall, they will dig in deep and defend really well and create opportunities. So yeah, I think they'll be aiming for France as a bit of a target game. It's for them must win in their pool. So I think, Saturday. So that'll be the big game.
They've moved it to the evening on Saturday, which totally messed up the whole timetable, but it's okay.
Yeah, that for me that's the big one. Wales, France. Loser of that, you'd assume, is probably going to be getting relegated out of the A division, or at least put in a pretty rough position. So yeah, that is a big winner takes all game.
And moving on finally, I guess, to these boys, these men, England men. They're the lads. I don't know if I can say that. Brett, what do you make of their lineup?
Really excited, to be honest. I like the fact there's some young guys in that group as well, which is exciting. I see Ollie Payman included is brilliant. Just a good mix. They've got a good level of experience. They've got some really exciting young players. Zach Wallace, I'm sure, will be tearing up. You've got goal scorers in there as well. It's just exciting. And I think this group's had a fairly consistent run with Danny now taking them over as well. And I feel like they're in good shape. They're playing some really good hockey.
Yeah, how about you, Gibbo?
Just getting off mute. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how they go. Again, I think the keeping angle will be interesting to see how they split minutes. And looking forward to see South Yorkshire boy Tom Soulsby at Euros, which is always good. And really excited about Liam Ansell. I think he was really exciting at the World Cup a couple of years back. Had 2 years from then in the programme. I think he could be a real difference maker in the attacking third. Really good finisher, adds to the flicking. Yeah, excited to see him play and get more caps as we build into. Well, I don't know what the squad will look like for the Olympics, but this summer and beyond, I think he's going to be a big player. And just good to see Brendan back fit as well. I know he played the last little few games recently. Just good to see he's been through a rough year in 2020 with his injury, and just great to see him back out there. Because again, brings that to the side.
Going back to your point around flicking, there's some serious options there, right?
I couldn't put them in a hierarchy. I mean, Quan's got his work cut out there, hasn't he? I guess because there's some guys that would stake a claim to being a really good flicker there. So Ropes, Ansell, Wardy, Dixon's flicks well off a slip, and he flicks well as an option.
The power push.
He scored a couple against Brooklands a couple of years ago. It wasn't. I won't tell Rob it's a power push. Going quick enough, I thought. Yeah,
the other thing that might be interesting is seeing if they look to use some variations off the top, or whether that's something they'll save for the Olympics. So I think it's coming in. You can't get away from good flicking, scores lots of good goals, but PCD's just continuing getting so much better. And the power push, the little slip off the top castle is it's a variation, I guess, but I've got a feeling we might see a bit more of that.
What's interesting is like there's lots of flicking potential there, but there's probably like, if you think back to that, the last raft of flickers, you'd probably say Jackson and Gleghorn been the main two at major tournaments before. They'd had a lot of tournaments to establish themselves as main flickers, whereas these guys have had less. So it'd be interesting to see like how successful they are, who establishes themselves as a go-to flicker if we're going to have one, or you just have the threat of, well, we can have 3 or 4 flickers around the circle depending on how he's set up, and we can vary our options and maybe run more options. But it'd be really interesting to see who, if there is a go-to flicker, who's it going to be? Because it's not, you'd say they're not established in the same way that like, it's going to Gleghorn or it's going to Jackson type thing yet.
Are we going to see the classic Quan for Castle? Is that going to come into the Euro?
I'd hope so. Yeah, he's inventive from corners. The Hampstead side have been. Yeah, I remember Canterbury used to do one where they flicked down the middle and they used to get the rebounds. So they're inventive from corners. Yeah, you can see it.
I would love to see the Forecastle appear in senior hockey. It's legendary.
I think Quan, I might be wrong in saying he's not. He might have come up with it uniquely, but Japan Men did it, I think. I remember Gamo told me that he saw it with Japan Men. So I might be wrong, and I'm sure he won't watch, so he won't quote me.
This is where he pops up in the chat.
Yeah,
gives us a
but I think Japan Men did it.
He's probably got an EDP cap anyway, so you might be okay.
Yeah, I will live. Yeah.
Mike, what's your England team thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see Ollie in there. He's had a really good few Pro League games. It'll be interesting to see who plays between him and Pinner. What kind of happens there? Like, yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting, that dynamic. Yeah, love the fact that Creedy's back. And I think, Will Cownan, like, I think he's a really dangerous player.
Yeah, that little...
He's a really dangerous player.
Yeah, or at home, he also scored a ridiculous random touch goal that he literally just stabbed it and it went into the roof.
Yeah, he's a ridiculous player, and I think he's just going to cause people headaches. Like, again, he's one of those players where he's so creative, and having been fortunate enough to coach when he was like 16, 17, like he had it then, and he just had no idea what he was going to do. So seeing him like in the senior stuff, like tearing up the way he does, I think is really cool. So was really pleased when I saw him picked, actually. So yeah, buzzing for him.
Yeah, I think my thoughts on the men's side is, so Harry Martin's had a really long injury, so I'm really excited to see him back playing. He played in the last few Pro League games, which was good to see. But yeah, I saw him a bit in rehab, and yeah, I think he's really, really looking forward to this tournament. Roper as well, I just love the way he plays, and he just pulls out the most ridiculous things. I think over the last World Cup 2018, I think he or was it? Yeah, it was end of 2018. He stepped into his own, I think. And now I love watching him play. He's such a nice guy as well. Honestly.
Yeah, big time.
Can't move on without mentioning Zach.
Yeah.
It was Shippo's goal for GB, wasn't it? That Zach had a real big hand in down the left. He made the pass, but he also won the ball back. Made
on the 25.
Yeah, a little give and go.
Oh, yeah.
Really good attacking. Exciting player.
That's the thing. He's playing at halfback for GB.
That's good, right?
He's creating goals.
That's great.
He sets people up on a play.
He was playing Premier League at 15, 16 as a halfback for Surbiton.
Yeah.
He was playing right half and as a 15-year-old, and was absolutely smashing it then. So to see him back in at halfback, I'm not surprised with the GB stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him at halfback or kind of midfieldy type roles instead of the forward line for this. He'll still score goals and he'll still set up opportunities. So yeah, he's definitely one who's just getting better and better. Again, another team ritual. So
I mean, if he defends like you meant to from halfback, which I'm sure he will, having him on the pitch as a halfback and him still affecting the game from there is a really, really good thing. it's having like an extra offensive player on the pitch. The way that he attacked from deep for that goal, being case in point, if he can bring that to the table, it's really exciting.
I just want to also mention, like, I love the fact that we have ball
And technically
carriers.
so proficient.
Yeah.
Like, you look at him and Ropes, Count, you've got ball players there. Like Gooders as well.
Chris Griffiths
Ansel,
was good against Germany.
Yeah, you've got some great ball carriers. And I think England, we've had a bit of a boring rep of just being like post-up trap, roll out, like short pass, like, and that's kind of maybe chuck a V-drag in. But I think actually to see that we have these creative players, and I think for any young guys watching or any coaches watching, like, let's keep encouraging people to go past people and have ball carriers. And it's, you know, being brave to get beyond people. I think we need more of that in the game, and to see these guys who are, and we always talk about, oh, they're the best player in the world because they can eliminate. It's because they've been given opportunities to do that, and they're encouraged to do that, and they will mess it up. But I think we need to just keep, you know, who's the next 12, 13-year-old, who's going to be your Zach Wallace, you know, your ball carrying, offensive halfback type player, Reece Smith, another one, like, they're coming through, and I think we need more, in my opinion.
I think that's what we're seeing with like Fiona Crackles in the England women's team, for example. In this, I think she's probably going to play as a midfielder for England. She played there in GB the last few games, and her speed is close, if not faster, than Lily's. But she doesn't look like she can do that, but she is that fast, and her elimination skills, I think, because she's played as a fullback or a midfield, and like more of a screen for most of her playing career. I think it'll be interesting to see how she eliminates and then goes. She assisted quite a few goals actually last weekend. Brett, you
feel like I should put Crackers in my. I should have put Crackers in my fantasy team.
She'll give you some assists, but she might also get you some cards. So no.
Don't know what you mean.
She should always be a candidate for player of the match as well. The position defensively is very good. You see slowing down the counter attacks, being in the right place at the right time. Athletically, she's very good as well, right? So able to cover the ground, able to stay in the 1v1s and that kind of stuff. But it's the same as you. I'm excited by her go forward. Creating opportunities, being skillful, understanding the game, timing those 2v1s, all those kind of things just link in so nicely. And you're right, there's a few assists in there too.
Yeah, I think the thing is she hasn't had the opportunity to go. She would always do one or two go forwards and probably create a goal for Durham, for example, like back in the day, or for her club teams, or even Ben Redding. But she would only be allowed to do that once or twice during a game, and it would probably lead to a goal. Whereas now she's actually in the attack. She has to attack forward and she has to create. And I think it's like sparking a whole new thing in her head. New position brings new creativity.
Right. I think we're probably going to have to clock off pretty soon. Pushback's in 3 minutes for the Wales-Germany game.
Off. We've got some work to do before we go to a game tonight. So.
And it's Gibbo's round of coffees as well.
It is. I'm due at the Bristol bar. So yeah. But thanks for having us on, and Brett, thanks for joining us at literally 30 seconds notice. So that was really kind. Mike twisted my arm and I twisted yours. So.
Well, apologies for my dodgy internet. I've enjoyed the last 45 minutes or so. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, fun. When's the next one, Tess? 8:30 on Sunday?
8:30 Sunday night. Be there to talk all things. We've got many, many, many matches to talk about. So we will be there.
There you go.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Perfect.
And we will see you all soon.
Ciao.
Enjoy the games. Bye-bye.